British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to unveil his plan for a new Brexit deal, one that his office calls a fair and reasonable compromise. Mr. Johnson will discuss the proposal in his closing speech at the Conservative Party conference. He is then expected to table the plans in Brussels later today. Downing Street has said that under no circumstances would Mr. Johnson ask to delay Brexit. And this is despite his legal obligation to ask for an extension beyond the 31st of October deadline. Senior British judges are reportedly planning for an emergency legal challenge if he fails to do so. Now, for more, we're joined by our correspondent in London, Ollie Barrett. So, Ollie, what do you make of the plans, then, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is laying out?
Well, Boris Johnson has been speaking to the Conservative Party conference in Manchester, and he's been talking in no uncertain terms about how he believes it is time to get Brexit done. He says that the proposals going to the European Union do represent a compromise, but he also says that they are very much constructive and that it's now time for Brussels to engage with them. Crucial to all of this are the proposals that Britain is putting forward to the European Union on how to avoid the very controversial backstop solution to the Irish border issue. Boris Johnson has admitted there will need to be customs checks at some location on the island of Ireland, but he insists they won't be at or near the Irish border. Now, Boris Johnson insists there are plenty of technical ways that can be achieved to keep the border flowing between Ireland and Northern Ireland, but there will be huge scepticism in Brussels about whether that is possible in a way that reflects the Good Friday Agreement, the peace process in Ireland, but also retains the integrity of the European Union single market.
Ollie, whatever it is that Boris Johnson plans to have in that proposal, what can we expect once it's been submitted?
Well, the key now is whether the European Union believes there is enough in this set of proposals to discuss, to have meaningful negotiations about. We know that there are talks going on in Brussels today, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those are fully fledged negotiations. What both sides say they want to get to is what is called in negotiating circles the tunnel. The tunnel is when both sides believe that they're edging closer towards a deal and effectively everything goes quiet. Nothing gets leaked from either side, progress gets made, the real meat is put on the bones of the proposals that are being discussed. But if the European Union receives these proposals and believes they're not worth engaging with, that there simply isn't enough there to discuss and to negotiate, then we won't head for the tunnel. And in that situation, we are certainly heading towards a situation in which a deal is much less likely to be reached with the European Union.
One thing we do know for certain, Ollie, is that Mr. Johnson is legally obliged to ask for an extension beyond the 31st October deadline. What are the consequences if he chooses not to?
Yeah, he is obliged to ask for an extension if by October the 19th he has not reached a deal with the European Union. He says he will not do so, and we still don't have detail and clarity from the Prime Minister about how he plans to get around this issue. He says he will respect the law, but he won't ask for a Brexit extension. Well, opposition MPs who legislated to mandate him to ask for an extension don't understand how that circle can be squared. They believe it's a contradiction in terms. So growing speculation about the vehicle, the mechanism that Boris Johnson might be considering to try and get around that mandate to seek a Brexit extension if he doesn't reach a deal, but also growing speculation that in the end he may be forced to make that request, may be forced to delay Brexit, and that if he does so, he'll head into an upcoming election blaming Parliament for frustrating the Brexit process.
Yes, many twists and turns ahead, I'm sure. Ollie Barrett from London, thank you very much.